Hi, everybody. Good evening. I know it's almost time for bed, and I'm so happy to be here to read you your virtual bedtime story. My name is Dr. Saba, and I am reading to you tonight from Atlanta, Georgia. But I am a teacher, a professor at the University of Iowa in Iowa City. So right now I'm on a little trip. Um, but I'm so happy that I get to read to you. And I decided that tonight I would like to read a picture book to you by my favorite children's author, Jacqueline Woodson. And Jacqueline Woodson is somebody who has been writing books for as long as I have been teaching. So I have now been a teacher for kids for about 30 years. I grew up in Texas, and I actually did about 20 years of teaching elementary kid school, elementary school, kindergarten through second grade in Arlington, Texas. And then I went back to school and learned how to be a professor at a university. And now I teach teachers who want to I teach students who want to become teachers at the University of Iowa. And I get to do fun things like this, like read bedtime stories still to um, families and children. So as I said, Miss Woodson has also been writing books now for about 30 years. She writes picture books. She writes chapter books for students who are in middle school and for young people who are in high school. And she even writes books for grown-ups. I think she is just the most talented writer I have ever read. And I'm so happy to read one of her newer books titled The World Belonged to Us. And this is again by Jacqueline Woodson, and it's illustrated by Leo Espinosa. And I'd love for you and the person you are sitting with to just look at this, um, the cover of this book. The world belonged to us. And I'd love for you to just listen to that title. And I'd like you to talk to each other about what does this mean to you? What do you see? What do you think it sounds like in this place? What do you think the people are saying, the young people in this cover? The world belonged to us. So let me tell you a little something about Miss Woodson. Miss Woodson grew up mostly in Brooklyn, New York. And the cover of her book, The World Belonged to Us, is art, an image of summertime in Brooklyn, New York. And in this book, Miss Woodson is thinking back on the summers of her childhood. And she's thinking about what it felt like, what it sounded like, what it looked like in Brooklyn, New York, every summer in her childhood. And I will tell you that this is a book about home. This is a book about summertime. This is a book about friends and family. And it's a book about freedom. It's a book about a time or times when the world really felt like it was for you. Everything was right. There was joy. And when I look at this cover and I think about what do I see? What do I imagine it sounds like? I hear laughter. I hear friends seeing each other and saying hello and, "Hey, what are you doing?" and "Let's go do this." I see in the back a young person getting ice cream. I see double dutch. I see feet off the air. I see smiles. So I'd like you to think about a time when the world belonged to you. And I'd like you to think about your summers. I know we're not in the summertime right now, but it wasn't too long ago. How was your summer? Did you have a beautiful time? I hope so. And I know even when the world belongs to us and we feel such joy, sometimes there are also things that can feel hard. So, but with Miss Woodson tonight, we are just going to think about the times when we get to be with those that we love, having the fun that we like to have, and really celebrating our life. So, The World Belonged to Us by Jacqueline Woodson and Leo Espinosa. You can see here some of the things: sidewalk chalk, Brooklyn, hopscotch, friends, ice cream, games, rainbows, sunshine. The world belonged to us. Now, Miss Woodson, she was born in Columbus, Ohio. And then her mom, and her brothers and sisters moved to Greenville, South Carolina, where she lived with her grandparents. And then after a few years, they all moved. Her mom and her brothers and sisters moved to Brooklyn, New York, leaving her grandparents in Greenville, South Carolina. And since that time, as a young child, Miss Woodson has called Brooklyn home. So here, the dedication page, Miss Woodson says, "To young people everywhere, keep playing, Jacqueline Woodson." And Leo Espinosa dedicates this book to his childhood friends. Tag, you're all it. In Brooklyn, in the summer, not so long ago, grown-ups always had some place to be or some kind of work to do. But the minute school ended, us kids were free as air, free as sun, free as summer. You're going to hear this line in Brooklyn in the summer, not so long ago. And what Miss Whitson is saying to us there is that even though she's grown up right now, she can really remember what it felt like those summers at home in Brooklyn with her friends. She remembers what it felt like to keep playing. She says, us kids were free as air, free as sun, free as summer. And even before school ended, the street got so hot that someone always found a wrench to turn the hydrant on. And someone else found a soup can to scrape against the curb till the top and bottom were gone. And it wasn't a soup can anymore. It was a super shooter. And our mama opened the windows and hollered, "Don't get your school clothes wet." I see the super shooter again. I see a lot of movement, happiness. But we had to run through the water, book bags and all, because our teacher's final words had been, "Have a good summer." Our only plan on that last day of school was to take what they had said seriously. So Brooklyn, New York is part of the city. It's part of New York City. It's um, has apartment buildings. And again, this book is set in the 1970s, so quite a few years ago. Um, and they have an image here of a fire hydrant and water spraying. When it's time for summer holiday where you live, do y'all play in the water? Do you turn on the sprinklers? Do you go to a pool? Do you go to a lake to swim? How do you cool down? In Brooklyn in the summer, not so long ago, my mom would straighten my hair for school with a hot comb, then twist it into spiraling curls that she said should last a while. But they only lasted until I ran headfirst into the hydrant, and quick as that, my hair sprung back from straightened curls to natural coils, because it was finally summer and hair too had a right to be free. I remember my mom would fix my hair, and what she would do is tie it back into a ponytail or into pigtails. And I remember when I would get home from school every evening or even in the summer times, that was when my hair got to be free also. From the end of breakfast till the beginning of dinner every single day, all summer long, we played in the street, shooting bottle caps we filled with tar across the chalk-drawn scully boards. I want you to just have a moment to look at that. So many different friends ready to play. We spun tops and learned to take turns and flicked our double Dutch ropes into blurs, singing, not last night, but the night before, a nickel and a pickle came knocking at my door. And we jumped and we ran and we played, and the whole wide world felt like it belonged to us. I notice in every picture, there's so many different things going on. What do you notice is happening here? What are all the fun ways that the kids are playing? And some days we scraped our knees, but there was always an older kid nearby who'd say, "It's going to be all right," and might even tell us stories about being our age, about stitches and broken arms. And if someone said, "Boys don't cry," some big boy always said, "Oh yeah," and had a story about the time he cried and cried until our eyes grew wide, our hurt knees forgotten. I see the subway. I see cars in the background. I see roller skates and skateboards and basketballs. And I see a group of friends sitting around together listening to stories. How do you tell stories with your friends? There was always some new kind of fun. We built forts out of enormous boxes, then admired what we made together. We said, "You sure can draw," and "You sure can build," and "You sure can jump," and "You sure can sing." And we meant it. What do you say to your friends? How do you let them know that you care about them and that you admire them? In Brooklyn in the summer not so long ago, it was easy to believe that anything was possible when a guy from our block was good enough to play for the Mets, and a girl from our block sang on a big stage in Manhattan, which is another part of the city. And a woman someone's cousin knew wrote a whole book about Brooklyn and all the beautiful places that we are from. We have people from our neighborhoods who go out into the world and tell the world where they came from and what a beautiful place it is. Miss Whitson loves Brooklyn, and she loves everybody who is from Brooklyn. And someone always had a ball and a stick to hit it with, or a stoop to throw it against. And if they did it, we found a soda can and played steal the bacon and kick the can. If one game doesn't work out, we try another game. In Brooklyn, in the summer, not so long ago, we learned to watch and listen, playing tag, ring olevio, and hide and seek inside hallways and behind thin-limbed trees and garbage cans. And our block was the whole wide world, and the world belonged to us. Our homes, our neighborhoods, our blocks, they are our world. I want you to talk to the person who's sitting with you right now about the games you play. And I want you to ask them about the games that they play or played or remember playing. And I hope that everyone sitting together right now still has time to play. Afternoons when we heard the beautiful sound of an ice cream truck, yes, so much fun. We yelled up to our mothers, "Can I have 50 cents for a cone with rainbow sprinkles?" And sometimes our mothers wrapped change into scarves and tossed them down to us. And our scarves of money held high became a parade of us kids chasing a truck with our own song. Wait, wait, we want a cone. Then we shared with friends with no money because some days the ones with no money were us. I remember the ice cream truck in my neighborhood. I remember running behind it. What are the treats and snacks that you like to have? In Brooklyn in the summer not so long ago, we didn't need doorbells or telephones, just two hands to cup around our mouths and a voice loud enough to be heard. So we called out to each other in Spanish, in English, in Polish, in German, in Chinese. And we ruled the block in all of our languages, playing and playing and playing until dusk fell and the streetlights came on. What are the languages in your home? How do you call out to each other and invite each other to play? And one by one, our mothers raised their windows again, this time to call us home. So we said to each other, "To be continued." We said, "You're still it." We said, "Don't forget, it was my turn." We said, "Wear your green t-shirt and I'll wear mine." We said, "What are you having for dinner? Maybe I can eat over tomorrow." I love this goodbye because it really isn't goodbye. It's just a little pause until we get to play again together the next day. And as our words echoed out over the block like a lullaby we'd always remember, I ran up the stairs of my stoop, already excited about tomorrow. and the tomorrow after that, and the many more tomorrows to come. Not just in Brooklyn, not just in the summer, but everywhere I'd ever go and always. How do we carry that feeling of those special times that we've had playing and laughing and being free with our friends to every place we always go? Thank you so much for listening. It was such a pleasure to read Miss Whitson's book to you, and I hope I get to read to you again. Have a great night.